First contact and rising tensions. The vast expanse of space had always beckoned humanity, a siren call of endless possibilities and untold wonders. But on that fateful day in 2157, when the skies above Earth darkened with the arrival of an alien armada, humanity realized that the cosmos held as much peril as promise. Dr. Elena Reeves, lead xenobiologist at the United Earth Space Agency, stood transfixed before the holographic display in the agency's crisis center. The alien ships hung in low orbit, their sleek obsidian forms a stark contrast to the warm blue of Earth below. "My God," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the frantic chatter of analysts and military personnel. "They're really here." General Marcus Stryker, a battle-hardened veteran of the Mars colony's conflict, stepped up beside her. His face, etched with the lines of countless difficult decisions, was grim. "Dr. Reeves, I need your insights. What are we dealing with here?" Elena's mind raced, processing the data streaming across multiple screens. Based on their ship design and the energy readings we're getting, we're looking at a civilization likely centuries ahead of us technologically. But there's something odd about their approach. They're not responding to any of our hails. As if on cue, a deafening screech pierced the air, causing everyone in the room to clutch their ears in pain. The holographic display flickered and distorted, replaced by the image of a being that defied easy description. Its form seemed to shift and writhe, a mass of tentacles and sharp angles that hurt the eye to look upon directly. When it spoke, the words reverberated not just through the speakers, but seemed to echo within the minds of all who heard them. "Humans of Earth," the alien voice boomed, a cacophony of discordant tones. "We are the Void Collective. Your planet sits upon a nexus of dimensional energies crucial to our species' survival. You have 2 Earth rotations to evacuate your population to your off-world colonies. Resistance is futile. Compliance is mandatory." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving a stunned silence in its wake. General Stryker was the first to recover. "Like hell," he growled. "Dr. Reeves, I need options. You've been studying potential first contact scenarios for years. What do we do?" Elena's mind whirled with possibilities, each more desperate than the last. "General, we can't possibly evacuate the entire planet in 48 hours. Even if we could, where would we go? Our colonies aren't equipped to handle billions of refugees." "Then we fight," Stryker said, his jaw set with determination. "With what?" Elena countered. "You saw their ships. Our most advanced weapons would be like throwing pebbles at a tank." A new voice cut through the tension. "Maybe we don't need to match their firepower." All eyes turned to the speaker, a young woman with close-cropped hair and eyes that sparked with intensity. She wore the insignia of the UESA's Advanced Propulsion Division. "Lieutenant Zara Chen," she introduced herself. "I've been working on a classified project that might just give us a chance." General Stryker's eyebrows rose. "I'm listening, Lieutenant." Zara took a deep breath. "We've been experimenting with dimensional folding technology. It's highly experimental, but in theory, we could create localized pockets of warped spacetime. If we can deploy these around their ships, we could trap them." Elena finished, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her fear, or at least disrupt their systems. General Stryker nodded slowly. "It's a start, but we'll need more than that to repel an invasion force of this magnitude." "Sir," another officer interjected, "we're getting reports from our lunar base. The aliens have landed a small contingent there. They appear to be setting up some kind of device." Elena's blood ran cold. "They're going to use the moon as a staging ground for the invasion." General Stryker's eyes narrowed. "Not if we have anything to say about it." "Lieutenant Chen, how quickly can you get a prototype of your dimensional tech ready for deployment?" Zara's face was a mix of excitement and trepidation. "With a full team working around the clock, maybe 36 hours. But sir, it's never been tested in real-world conditions. The risks are less than the risk of doing nothing." Stryker finished. "Make it happen." As the crisis center erupted into a flurry of activity, Alina found herself drawn to a window overlooking the sprawling USA complex. In the distance, she could see civilians gathering. Their faces turned skyward in a mixture of awe and fear. A hand on her shoulder startled her from her reverie. It was Dr. Aiden Foster, her research partner and closest friend. "Alina," he said softly, "I think I might have something that could help. Remember our work on interspecies communication? The electromagnetic frequency that seemed to resonate across multiple alien language samples." Alina's eyes widened. "The Harmony Protocol. Aiden, that was theoretical. We never got it to work consistently in simulations." Aiden's eyes gleamed with determination. "True, but we never had actual aliens to test it on before. If we can establish even basic communication, maybe we can buy ourselves more time." For the first time since the alien ships appeared, Alina felt a glimmer of hope. "It's worth a shot. Let's get to the lab." As they hurried through the corridors, alarms blared, and personnel rushed to their stations. The next 48 hours would determine the fate of humanity. In a secret underground facility halfway across the world, a team of engineers and scientists worked feverishly on another project, one that had been deemed too dangerous to ever see the light of day. But with extinction looming, old ethical concerns were quickly being reevaluated. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the lead researcher on Project Prometheus, stared at the swirling vortex of energy contained within a reinforced chamber. The device they had created was meant to harness the power of microscopic black holes, a source of energy so potent it could rewrite the laws of physics on a localized scale. "Dr. Tanaka," her assistant called out, "we're receiving a priority communication from USA Command." Yuki nodded, her face set in grim determination. "Put it through. It's time to show the universe what humanity is truly capable of when pushed to the brink." As night fell over a world holding its collective breath, preparations for humanity's stand against the Void Collective continued in secret bunkers, military bases, and laboratories across the globe. In homes and shelters, families huddled together, praying to whatever gods they believed in for salvation. Little did they know that their salvation would come not from divine intervention, but from the indomitable spirit of human ingenuity and the refusal to go quietly into the night. The stage was set for a confrontation that would echo across the stars, a testament to what happens when humanity is pushed too far, when the choice is to adapt or perish. In the face of overwhelming odds, humanity was about to show the cosmos why it should never be underestimated. As the first of Earth's 2 rotations drew to a close, the true test was about to begin. The Void Collective's ultimatum hung over the planet like a sword of Damocles, but in labs and command centers around the world, the seeds of resistance were taking root. Humanity was not going to hold back. The galaxy was about to learn just how ferocious Earth's children could be when fighting for their very existence. The alien ultimatum and Earth's defiance. As the first rays of sunlight crept over the horizon, bathing the world in an eerie, almost mocking glow, humanity faced its second day under the shadow of alien invasion. The Void Collective's ultimatum echoed in the minds of every person on Earth: evacuate or face annihilation. In the heart of the United Earth Space Agency's command center, General Marcus Stryker paced restlessly, the weight of humanity's fate pressed down on his shoulders like a physical burden. He turned to the assembled team of Earth's brightest minds, determination etched into every line of his face. "Status report," he barked, his voice cutting through the tense atmosphere. Dr. Alina Reeves stepped forward, her usually immaculate appearance now disheveled from hours of nonstop work. "The Harmony Protocol is operational, sir. We've managed to establish a rudimentary communication channel with the Void Collective." A murmur of hope rippled through the room, but Stryker's expression remained grim. "And what have they said?" Alina's face fell slightly. "They're not interested in negotiation. They've reiterated their demand for our complete evacuation. However, we've managed to glean some crucial information about their biology and technology." Lieutenant Zara Chen, Her eyes ringed with dark circles from sleepless hours of work, chimed in. "General, our dimensional folding technology is ready for a field test. We can deploy it against their lunar outpost within the hour." Stryker nodded, a spark of hope igniting in his eyes. "Do it. We need to show these bastards that humanity isn't going down without a fight." As the team dispersed to their stations, Dr. Aidan Foster approached Alina, his voice low. "There's something else, isn't there? Something you didn't want to say in front of everyone." Helena hesitated, then nodded. "The Void Collective. They're not just after our planet, Aidan. They're after us. Our minds, our consciousness. They feed on it somehow. That's why they want us gone. They can't process our thoughts if we're still in our bodies." Aidan's face paled. "My God. We have to tell." An ear-splitting screech cut him off as the alien transmission overtook every screen and speaker in the facility. The writhing, otherworldly form of the Void Collective's representative appeared, its voice a cacophony of discordant tones. "Humans of Earth," it intoned, "your pitiful attempts at communication have been noted. Your refusal to comply with our demands is unfortunate. We had hoped to harvest your world with minimal resistance. Now we will take it by force." The image shifted, showing a massive energy buildup around the alien ships in orbit. Stryker's voice rang out, "Brace for impact." The world seemed to hold its breath for a moment. Then chaos erupted. Beams of sickly green energy lanced down from the heavens, striking major cities across the globe. But instead of the expected destruction, something far more terrifying occurred. Where the beams touched down, reality itself seemed to warp and twist. Buildings, vehicles, and people alike were pulled into swirling vortexes of otherworldly energy. In the UESA command center, alarms blared as data poured in from around the world. Alina's fingers flew across her console, her face a mask of horror. They're creating dimensional rifts, portals to their home dimension. They're not destroying our cities, they're transporting them. Stryker's jaw clenched. "Chen, get that dimensional tech deployed now. Foster, Reeves, I need options." As humanity reeled from the initial assault, a beacon of defiance shone from the lunar surface. Lieutenant Chen's team had successfully deployed their experimental technology, creating a bubble of warped space-time around the alien outpost on the moon. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed to work. The alien structures wavered and distorted, their energy readings fluctuating wildly. But then, with a surge of power that overwhelmed the sensors, the Void Collective broke free. Back on Earth, in the secret facility housing Project Prometheus, Dr. Yuki Tanaka watched the unfolding catastrophe with a mixture of terror and grim resolve. She turned to her team, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "We're out of time," she said. "Initiate final protocols. We're bringing Prometheus online." As her team rushed to comply, Yuki allowed herself a moment of doubt. The power they were about to unleash was beyond anything humanity had ever wielded. It could be their salvation, or it could tear the very fabric of reality apart. Meanwhile, in cities around the world, scenes of heroism and desperation played out against the backdrop of alien invasion. In New York, a group of civilians led by off-duty firefighter Jack Morrison formed a human chain, pulling people back from the edge of a dimensional rift that had opened in the middle of Times Square. In Tokyo, quantum physicist Dr. Sakura Yamamoto worked feverishly in her lab, repurposing experimental shielding technology to create safe zones where the alien energy couldn't penetrate. Her efforts saved thousands as the city around her was slowly consumed by the otherworldly portals. And in a small village in Kenya, a young girl named Amani, gifted with an unprecedented sensitivity to electromagnetic fields, became humanity's early warning system. She could sense the rifts before they formed, allowing her community to evacuate areas before they were swallowed by the void. Back at UESA headquarters, Alina and Aidan had a breakthrough. "General," Alina called out, her voice cutting through the chaos, "we've identified a weakness in their dimensional technology. The rifts they're creating, they're not stable. If we can generate a counter-frequency, we might be able to collapse them. Stryker leaned in, hope warring with skepticism on his face. How quickly can you make it happen? Aiden's fingers flew across his tablet. We can modify our global satellite network to emit the frequency. But, sir, it's going to take every ounce of power we have. We'll be defenseless if it doesn't work. Stryker stood silent for a moment, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. Finally, he nodded. Do it. It's time we show these cosmic horrors what happens when they back humanity into a corner. As Elena and Aiden raced to implement their plan, reports came in from around the world. Humanity, despite being outgunned and outmatched, was not going quietly. Improvised weapons, from EMP devices cobbled together in basements to swarms of hack drones, harried the alien forces wherever they materialized. In orbit, the remnants of Earth's space fleet engaged in a desperate battle against the Void Collective's armada. Outnumbered and outgunned, human pilots flew with a ferocity that seemed to give even the alien invaders pause. Captain Zoe Blackwood, her fighter weaving through a maze of enemy fire, opened a channel to her squadron. "Remember Thermopylae," she shouted, her voice steady even as warning lights flashed across her cockpit. "We are the thin line between these monsters and our homes. We will not falter." Her words galvanized the human forces. What they lacked in technology, they'd made up for in sheer determination and tactical ingenuity. For every human ship that fell, they took 2 of the enemy with them. On the ground, as cities around the world were swallowed by dimensional rifts, acts of incredible bravery became commonplace. In Rio de Janeiro, a team of engineers sacrificed themselves to overload a power plant, generating an electromagnetic pulse that temporarily disabled the alien forces in the area, allowing thousands to escape. In Moscow, a group of hackers led by the enigmatic Ghost launched a cyber assault on the alien networks, causing momentary disruptions in their attack patterns and buying precious time for evacuation efforts. As the battle raged, Dr. Yuki Tanaka and her team at Project Prometheus worked with feverish intensity. The air crackled with energy as they prepared to activate their creation, a device capable of harnessing the power of microscopic black holes. "All systems are go," one of her assistants called out. "Ready on your mark, Doctor." Yuki took a deep breath, her hand hovering over the activation switch. "May whatever gods are out there forgive us," she whispered. Then, with a decisive motion, she brought her hand down. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a sound like reality itself tearing apart, a beam of impossibly dark energy shot from the facility, lancing up into the sky. In orbit, the beam struck one of the largest Void Collective ships. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, to the astonishment of human and alien alike, the massive vessel began to crumple in on itself, crushed by forces beyond comprehension. At UESA headquarters, Elena and Aiden's plan was ready. With a nod from General Stryker, they activated the global satellite network. A pulse of energy, invisible but powerful beyond measure, radiated out from Earth. Where it touched the dimensional rifts, they began to fluctuate, their edges wavering like mirages in the desert. For a moment, it seemed as if nothing would happen. Then, with a series of thunderous implosions, the rifts began to collapse. The Void Collective's invasion force, caught off guard by this unexpected resistance, found themselves suddenly cut off from their home dimension. Their carefully laid plans were unraveling in the face of humanity's desperate ingenuity. As the alien ships in orbit began to retreat, their formations in disarray, a cheer went up from the UESA command center. But General Stryker's face remained grim. "This isn't over," he said, his voice cutting through the celebration. "We've bought ourselves some time, but they'll be back. And next time, they'll be ready for us." Elena nodded, her expression a mixture of exhaustion and determination. "Then we'll be ready for them too. We know what we're up against now. And we've shown them something they didn't expect." "What's that?" Stryker asked. A fierce smile spread across Elena's face. That when humanity is pushed to the brink, when everything we love is threatened, we don't hold back. As the sun set on a world forever changed, humanity began to pick up the pieces. The Void Collective had been repelled, but at a terrible cost. Entire cities lay in ruins, millions were displaced or missing, presumed lost to the dimensional rifts. But amidst the devastation, a new spirit was born. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged bloodied but unbowed. They had stared into the void and refused to blink. As night fell, the people of Earth looked to the stars not with fear, but with a newfound determination. The universe had revealed itself to be a place of unimaginable dangers, but also of incredible possibilities, and humanity was now ready to claim its place among the cosmic powers. The Void Collective would return, of that there was no doubt. But when they did, they would find a humanity united, prepared and utterly unwilling to go quietly into the night. The battle for Earth was over. The war for the galaxy had just begun. Humanity's secret weapon unveiled, approximately 2,000 words. In the months following the Void Collective's initial assault, Earth underwent a transformation unlike any in its history. The planet, once divided by borders and ideologies, now stood united in the face of an existential threat. The scars of the invasion were still fresh. Dimensional rifts, though closed, had left entire regions uninhabitable, and the loss of life was staggering. Yet from the ashes of near defeat, a new era of human innovation and determination arose. At the heart of this renaissance was Project Prometheus, now declassified and expanded into a global initiative. Dr. Yuki Tanaka found herself at the center of a scientific revolution, her team's breakthroughs in harnessing microscopic black holes becoming the cornerstone of Earth's new defensive strategy. In a converted aircraft hangar that now served as Prometheus Command, Yuki stood before a holographic display of the solar system, addressing a panel of world leaders and military commanders. The Prometheus device, she began, her voice steady despite the weight of expectation, is no longer just a weapon. We've refined it into a comprehensive defense system. By creating a network of controlled microsingularities throughout our solar system, we can establish a barrier that will make dimensional incursions exponentially more difficult. General Stryker, his face more lined than ever, but his eyes burning with intensity, leaned forward. And offensive capabilities. A grim smile touched Yuki's lips. We're working on weaponizing the technology for our fleet. Imagine ships armed with the power to create and manipulate localized gravitational fields. We could crush enemy vessels or tear apart their formations without firing a single conventional shot. The room buzzed with a mixture of awe and apprehension. The power they were discussing was godlike in its potential and in its danger. What about the risks? A voice called out. It was Dr. Elena Reeves, who had been working closely with the Prometheus team to integrate their findings with her own research on alien biology. We're talking about forces that could rip apart the fabric of spacetime if mishandled. Yuki nodded, her expression solemn. The risks are significant, yes, but we're implementing multiple fail-safes and control mechanisms, and frankly, given what we're up against, can we afford not to use every advantage at our disposal? The question hung in the air, unanswered but understood by all. Humanity was in a race against time, and the stakes couldn't be higher. As the meeting adjourned, Elena found herself walking alongside Aidan Foster, her longtime research partner. The two had been working tirelessly to expand the Harmony Protocol, turning what had been a rudimentary communication tool into a sophisticated system for analyzing and predicting Void Collective behavior. It's incredible, isn't it? Aidan mused, his voice a mixture of excitement and trepidation. A year ago, we were theorizing about alien life. Now we're preparing to wage war across dimensions. Elena nodded, her mind racing with the implications of their work. We've come so far, so fast. But Aidan, I can't shake this feeling that we're missing something crucial about the Void Collective. Their attack. It was devastating, yes, but also inefficient. Why give us warning at all? Why not simply open rifts across the entire planet at once? Aiden's brow furrowed. You think they were testing us? Probing our defenses? Maybe. Or maybe there's something about Earth itself that they need. Something that prevents them from simply destroying the planet outright. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent call over the base's comm system. Dr. Reeves, Dr. Foster, report to Anomaly Lab 3 immediately. Exchanging worried glances, they hurried through the facility's winding corridors. Anomaly Lab 3 was where they studied artifacts and energy signatures left behind by the Void Collective's incursion. As they entered the lab, they found Lieutenant Zara Chen bent over a containment unit, her face pale. Doctors, she said, her voice tight with tension. We got a problem. Inside the unit, a small fragment of what appeared to be alien technology pulsed with an eerie, shifting light. But it was the holographic readouts surrounding it that drew their attention. Energy patterns that seemed to defy the laws of physics as they understood them. It's some kind of beacon, Zara explained. We thought it was inert, but it just activated a few minutes ago. It's broadcasting a signal, and it's getting stronger. Elena's blood ran cold. They're coming back. The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. As news of the beacon spread, Earth's fledgling United Defense Force kicked into high gear. In orbit, the newly christened Earth Defense Fleet began to assemble, ships bristling with both conventional armaments and prototype Prometheus tech. On the lunar surface, the first of the Prometheus array stations hummed to life, its massive dish aimed at the depths of space, ready to create a web of defensive singularities at a moment's notice. In cities around the world, civilians began the now familiar process of moving to hardened shelters. But there was a difference this time. A steely resolve had replaced the panic of the first invasion. Humanity had faced the void once and survived. They were ready to do it again. Back at Prometheus Command, a war council convened. General Stryker stood at the head of the table, his posture rigid with tension. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his voice grave. Our long-range sensors have detected a massive energy signature approaching from the edge of the solar system. The Void Collective is returning, and in far greater numbers than before. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, activating a holographic display of their defensive plans. The Prometheus array is online and functioning at 89% capacity. We can create a defensive barrier extending from Earth's orbit to just beyond Mars. But maintaining it will put an enormous strain on our power grid. What about the fleet? Someone asked. Captain Zoe Blackwood, now Admiral of the Earth Defense Fleet, answered. We've retrofitted every ship we could with Prometheus tech. We're still outnumbered, but we've got a few surprises up our sleeves. As the council debated strategy, Elena and Aiden worked furiously in a corner of the room, analyzing the signal from the alien beacon. Suddenly, Elena's eyes widened. General, she called out, her voice cutting through the discussion. I think we've cracked part of their communication code. The beacon, it's not just signaling our location, it's transmitting data about us, about Earth. The room fell silent as Elena continued, her words coming faster now. The Void Collective, they're not just invaders. They're harvesters, collectors of consciousness. And Earth, our planet, is unique. The dimensional energies here, they're perfect for their needs. They don't want to destroy us. They'd want to farm us. The implications hung heavy in the air. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their very essence, their consciousness, their souls. General Stryker's voice was steel when he broke the silence. Then we make damn sure they never get the chance. Dr. Tanaka, I want the Prometheus array at full power, no matter the cost. Admiral Blackwood, prepare the fleet for engagement at the edge of the defensive barrier. Dr. Reeves, Dr. Foster, keep working on that code. Any advantage we can get, we'll take. As the council dispersed, each member rushing to their stations, a palpable sense of destiny filled the air. This was the moment that would define not just the fate of humanity, but perhaps the very nature of consciousness in the universe. In orbit, aboard the flagship of the Earth Defense Fleet, Admiral Blackwood addressed her crews. Her voice, transmitted to every ship in the fleet, was calm and resolute. "Men and women of Earth," she began, "the enemy we face today is beyond anything humanity has ever encountered. They seek not just our lives, but our very essence. But we have something they don't, something they can't understand. We have the indomitable human spirit. We have the knowledge that we fight not just for ourselves, but for every consciousness that has ever been or ever will be. Today, we draw a line in the cosmos. Today, we tell the universe that humanity will not go quietly. We will rage against the dying of the light, and we will show these cosmic horrors what it truly means to unleash our full power." A cheer went up across the fleet, a sound of defiance that seemed to echo through the void of space. On Earth, in cities and towns across the globe, people gathered in squares and shelters, their eyes turned to the skies. They knew the battle that was coming might reshape the very fabric of reality. But they also knew that humanity had faced extinction before and emerged stronger. They had stared into the abyss and refused to blink. In a small village in Kenya, young Namani, her gift for sensing electromagnetic fields now honed and strengthened, stood among her people. She could feel the approaching storm, the clash of energies that was about to unfold. But she could also sense something else, a rising tide of human determination, a collective will that burned brighter than any star. In labs and command centers around the world, final preparations were made. The Prometheus array hummed with power, ready to create a web of warped spacetime that would be humanity's first line of defense. Prototype weapons, born from the fusion of human ingenuity and the terrible knowledge gained from the first invasion, were brought online. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stood before the main control panel of the Prometheus array, her hand hovering over the activation switch. She thought of all the ethical debates, all the warnings about playing with forces beyond human comprehension. But she also thought of the alternative, a world where humanity was nothing more than a crop to be harvested by cosmic entities. With a deep breath, she activated the array. Across the solar system, points of intense gravity bloomed into existence, creating a barrier of warped spacetime. The die was cast. In Prometheus Command, General Stryker watched as the defensive grid came online. He turned to Elena and Aiden, who were still working feverishly at their stations. "Anything else from that beacon?" he asked. Elena looked up, her eyes bright with a mixture of fear and excitement. "Sir, we've detected a massive surge in the signal. I think they're here." As if in response to her words, alarms began to blare. On every screen, sensors showed a tear in the fabric of spacetime, far larger than anything seen in the first invasion. The Void Collective had arrived in force, their vast armada emerging from a rift that dwarfed the moon. General Stryker's voice was calm as he opened a channel to all Earth's defenders. "This is it, people. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Humanity stands united, and we do not hold back." As the Void Collective's forces approached the Prometheus barrier, the greatest battle in human history was about to begin. The fate of not just Earth, but perhaps consciousness itself in this corner of the universe, hung in the balance. Humanity had unleashed its full power. Now they would see if it was enough. The climactic battle. The vastness of space, usually silent and serene, erupted into chaos as the Void Collective's armada collided with humanity's Prometheus barrier. The fabric of reality itself seemed to scream as incomprehensible energies clashed, creating a light show that was both beautiful and terrifying. Aboard the Earth Defense Fleet's flagship, the EDS Defiant, Admiral Zoe Blackwood watched the unfolding spectacle with a mixture of awe and determination. "All ships, hold position," she commanded, her voice steady despite the stakes. "Let them exhaust themselves against the barrier." For what seemed like an eternity, the alien fleet threw itself against the web of warped spacetime created by the Prometheus array. Ships larger than cities attempted to punch through, only to be crushed by gravitational forces or torn apart by spatial distortions. But the Void Collective was not so easily deterred. As the initial assault faltered, a new strategy emerged. Smaller craft, nimble and seemingly immune to the barrier's effects, began to slip through gaps in the defense. "Admiral," her tactical officer shouted, "we've got breaches in sectors 7, 13, and 22. Enemy fighters are getting through." Blackwood's eyes narrowed. "So that's their game. All ships, engage at will. Prometheus-equipped vessels, you are clear to deploy singularity weapons. Let's show them what we can do." The space around Earth erupted into a frenzy of activity. Human ships, though outnumbered, fought with a ferocity that seemed to take the Void Collective by surprise. Beams of concentrated gravitational energy lanced out from Earth vessels, creating localized black holes that swallowed alien fighters whole. On the Defiance Bridge, a cheer went up as one of their cruisers successfully deployed a larger singularity, catching an entire wing of enemy ships and crushing them into oblivion. But the aliens were quick to adapt. Their larger vessels began to emit pulses of strange, dark energy that seemed to stabilize the space around them, creating safe corridors through the Prometheus barrier. Back on Earth, in the heart of Prometheus Command, alarms blared as the situation in orbit deteriorated. General Stryker's face was grim as he assessed the tactical displays. "They're pushing through faster than we anticipated," he growled. "Dr. Tanaka, we need more power to the array." Yuki's fingers flew across her console, her face bathed in the glow of emergency lighting. "We're already at 110% capacity," she shouted over the din of warnings and status reports. "Any more, and we risk a cascade failure that could tear apart half the solar system." Elena and Aiden, still working furiously to decode more of the alien transmissions, shared a worried look. "General," Elena called out, "we're picking up some kind of buildup in the enemy fleet. I think they're preparing for something big." As if in response to her words, a massive surge of energy erupted from the heart of the Void Collective's armada. A beam of pure darkness, so black it seemed to devour light itself, lanced out towards Earth. "Brace for impact," Stryker roared. The beam struck the Prometheus barrier head-on. For a moment, it seemed as if the defense would hold. Then, with a sound like reality itself shattering, a hole was torn in the protective field. In orbit, Admiral Blackwood watched in horror as the gap in their defenses widened. "All ships, converge on that breach. We can't let them through." The Earth Defense Fleet threw itself into the gap, a desperate bid to plug the hole with their own ships and lives if necessary. The space around the breach became a maelstrom of weapons fire, explosions, and distorted spacetime. On the lunar surface, the technicians operating the Prometheus array worked frantically to compensate for the breach. "We're losing stability across the entire grid," one shouted, her voice edged with panic. "If we don't close that hole soon, the whole thing could collapse." Back in Prometheus Command, Dr. Tanaka made a decision. "General," she said, her voice calm despite the chaos around her, "I have an idea. It's risky, but it might be our only shot." Stryker turned to her, hope warring with caution in his eyes. "I'm listening. We can't close the breach from our side," Yuki explained quickly. "But if we could detonate a Prometheus device on the other side of the barrier, the resulting gravitational shockwave might seal it shut." "And how do you propose we get a device through that war zone?" Stryker demanded. A new voice cut in. "I'll do it." All eyes turned to see Lieutenant Zora Chen, her face set with determination. "My fighter is equipped with a prototype phase drive. I can slip through their lines and deliver the payload." For a moment, silence reigned in the command center. Then Stryker nodded, his expression grim but proud. "Do it. And Lieutenant, good hunting." As Zara raced towards the hangar, Elena suddenly sat bolt upright at her station. "General, I've cracked another layer of their communications. They're not just attacking Earth. This is a harvesting operation. They're trying to open a stable portal to begin mass consciousness extraction. The implications hit like a physical blow. This wasn't just an invasion. It was the beginning of a cosmic harvesting operation that could doom not just humanity, but countless other species across the galaxy. In orbit, Zara's fighter slipped out of the Defiance launch bay, its experimental drive humming with power. "This is Phoenix 1, she reported, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "Beginning approach run." Admiral Blackwood's voice crackled over the comm. "Godspeed, Lieutenant. All ships provide cover fire for Phoenix 1. That package has to get through." The battle around the breach intensified as human ships threw everything they had at the encroaching Void Collective forces. Gravitational weapons warped space itself, crushing alien vessels or flinging them off course. Traditional weaponry lit up the void, a desperate attempt to clear a path for Zara's tiny fighter. On Earth's surface, in cities and towns across the globe, people watched the sky with bated breath. The battle was visible even from the ground. Flashes of light and strange distortions marking the clash of two civilizations fighting for their very existence. In her village in Kenya, young Imani suddenly gasped, her unique senses overwhelmed by the cosmic energies being unleashed. "They're coming," she whispered, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. "But so are we." As Zara's fighter neared the breach, the full might of the Void Collective seemed to focus on her. Beams of dark energy lanced past her craft, reality itself buckling in their wake. "Almost there," she gritted out, her hand steady on the controls despite the maelstrom around her. In Prometheus Command, tensions reached a fever pitch. "She's not going to make it," someone muttered, watching as Zora's fighter was buffeted by gravitational eddies and weapons fire. But Yuki's eyes were locked on a different set of readings. "Wait," she breathed. "The phase drive. It's working." For a brief moment, Zora's ship seemed to flicker out of existence. When it reappeared, it was on the other side of the breach, in the heart of the Void Collective's fleet. "Package delivered." Zara's triumphant voice crackled over the comm. "Detonating in 3, 2, 1. The explosion, when it came, defied description. It was as if a star had been born and died in the space of a heartbeat. The gravitational shockwave rippled outward, catching Void Collective ships and crushing them like insects. The breach in the Prometheus barrier fluctuated wildly, then began to close. "It's working," Helena shouted, her eyes locked on the sensor readings. "The breach is sealing." For in unleashing their full power against the darkness, humanity had not just saved itself. It had taken the first steps towards becoming a force for good in a universe desperately in need of light. As the Prometheus vanished into the depths of space, carrying with it the best of what humanity had to offer, a new watchword spread across Earth and its colonies. It was a simple phrase, but one that encapsulated everything they had learned, everything they had become, and everything they aspired to be. Ad astra per aspera, through hardships to the stars. Humanity had been tested, had stared into the void and refused to blink. Now they turned their gaze to the infinite possibilities that lay ahead, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might throw at them. For they had learned the most important lesson of all, that their greatest strength lay not in the technologies they wielded or the weapons they forged, but in their unity, their adaptability, and their unwavering determination to not just survive, but to thrive. The cosmic stage was set, and humanity was ready to play its part. The greatest adventure in human history had only just begun, but their celebration was short-lived. As the hole in their defenses closed, a new alarm blared. Energy spike detected. Aiden called out. "There? Oh God, they're opening multiple smaller rifts all around the planet." On screens across Prometheus Command, dozens of swirling vortexes appeared in Earth's atmosphere. From each one, Void Collective harvesters emerged, strange, ethereal constructs that seemed to phase in and out of reality. "They're starting the extraction," Elena breathed, horror evident in her voice. "If even one of those harvesters touches down." General Stryker's voice cut through the rising panic. This ends now. Dr. Tanaka, deploy the Prometheus planet-side defense grid. All military personnel, this is not a drill. Engage all hostile entities with extreme prejudice. Across the globe, humanity's last line of defense sprang into action. Prometheus-enhanced weapon emplacements, hidden in cities and natural landmarks, powered up. Beams of concentrated gravitational energy lanced into the sky, catching void harvesters and crushing them or flinging them back through their rifts. In New York, Jack Morrison, the firefighter who had become a symbol of human resilience, led a group of civilians armed with makeshift weapons against a harvester that had touched down in Central Park. Their primitive tools seemed useless against the otherworldly construct until a Prometheus beam caught it, allowing the humans to tear it apart in its weakened state. In Tokyo, Dr. Sakurai Yamamoto's shielding technology, now integrated into the city's infrastructure, created bubbles of safety where the harvesters couldn't penetrate. From these havens, defense forces launched counterattacks, using knowledge gained from the first invasion to target the aliens' vulnerabilities. And in orbit, the tide of battle began to turn. With their main assault foiled by the closing of the breach, the Void Collective's formations fell into disarray. Admiral Blackwood seized the opportunity, ordering a full offensive. Human ships, their crews emboldened by the planet-side resistance, fought with renewed vigor. Push them back, Blackwood commanded, her voice ringing with authority. Don't let up. Show them what happens when they threaten our home. The battle raged for hours, a titanic struggle that would be remembered for generations. Slowly, inexorably, humanity began to gain the upper hand. The Prometheus array, though strained to its limits, held firm. The planet-side defense grid decimated the harvester swarms, and in space, the Earth Defense Fleet, bolstered by reinforcements from Mars and the outer colonies, drove the Void Collective back. As the alien fleet began to retreat, falling back towards the edge of the solar system, a feeling of cautious elation began to spread through the human forces. They had done it. They had faced the nightmare from beyond the stars and emerged victorious. In Prometheus Command, exhausted but triumphant faces looked to General Stryker. The old soldier allowed himself a small smile. "Send word to all commands," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "The Earth stands. Humanity endures." A cheer went up, echoing through the command center and beyond, spreading across the globe and out into space. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, forced to wield powers beyond their full understanding. They had stared into the void and refused to blink. As the last of the Void Collective ships vanished into the depths of space, humanity looked to the stars with new eyes. They had proven themselves on a cosmic stage, demonstrated that when pushed to their limits, they were capable of unleashing power beyond imagining. The battle was over, but the war had just begun, and humanity was ready. Aftermath and new galactic order. As the dust settled on humanity's greatest battle, Earth found itself in a state of cautious celebration tinged with somber reflection. The Void Collective had been repelled, but at a tremendous cost. Cities lay in ruins, millions were dead or missing, and the very fabric of reality around the planet bore scars that might never fully heal. In the weeks following the invasion, a new era dawned for humanity. The world, once divided, now stood united in the face of a universe they now knew to be filled with wonders and terrors beyond imagination. At the newly established Earth Unified Command in Geneva, a council of world leaders, scientists, and military commanders convened to chart humanity's course in this new cosmic landscape. Dr. Elena Reeves, now head of the newly formed Sinological Research Division, addressed the assembly. Her face, though tired, shone with an inner fire of determination and curiosity. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice carrying easily through the hushed chamber, "the Void Collective's retreat has given us a brief respite, but we cannot afford to grow complacent. Our victory, hard won as it was, has likely only delayed their plans. We must use this time wisely. General Stryker, his uniform adorned with new medals of valor, nodded grimly. Agreed. Our first priority must be strengthening our defenses. The Prometheus array proved its worth, but we need to expand it, create a shield that encompasses not just Earth, but our entire solar system. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, her research now the cornerstone of Earth's defensive strategy, stepped forward. We're already working on it, General. But there's more. The data we gathered during the battle has opened up new avenues of research. We believe we can refine the Prometheus technology, make it more stable, more controllable, and not just for defense. A murmur ran through the assembly as Yuki continued, her eyes alight with the possibilities. Imagine ships that can create their own localized space-time bubbles, allowing for faster-than-light travel. Colonies protected by impenetrable gravitational fields. The ability to terraform worlds by manipulating their fundamental physical properties. The Prometheus tech could be the key to humanity's expansion across the stars. Admiral Zoe Blackwood, her stance proud despite the bandages still visible beneath her uniform, spoke up. And we'll need that expansion. Earth is vulnerable as long as we're confined to one world. We need to spread out, establish colonies and outposts across the galaxy. Create a buffer between us and threats like the Void Collective. The assembly buzzed with excitement and apprehension. The course being laid out was ambitious, fraught with potential dangers, but also filled with incredible possibilities. As the discussion continued, Aiden Foster, working quietly at a console in the corner, suddenly sat up straight. "Dr. Reeves," he called out, his voice cutting through the chatter. "I think you need to see this." Elena hurried over, her eyes widening as she took in the data on Aiden's screen. She turned back to the assembly, her face a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've just detected a signal. It's not from the Void Collective. It's something else. Something new." The room fell silent as Elena explained. "The signal appears to be a response to the energies released during our battle. It's coming from a star system about 50 light-years away. And it's an invitation." General Stryker's brow furrowed. An invitation to what exactly? Elena took a deep breath. To join something called the Galactic Concord. From what we can decipher, it's an alliance of species dedicated to mutual defense against threats like the Void Collective. They've been watching us, and our victory. It seems we've passed some kind of test. The implications hung heavy in the air. Humanity, in repelling the Void Collective, had unknowingly auditioned for a place on a much larger cosmic stage. The debates that followed were intense. Some argued for caution, for focusing on rebuilding and strengthening Earth before engaging with alien civilizations. Others saw the invitation as an unprecedented opportunity, a chance to gain allies and knowledge that could secure humanity's future. In the end, it was young Amani, the girl from Kenya, whose unique sensitivities had proved invaluable during the invasion, who tipped the scales. Brought before the council to share her insights, she spoke with a wisdom beyond her years. "The stars are alive with voices," she said, her eyes seeming to see beyond the confines of the room. "Some are like the void, hungry and cold. But others are warm, curious, reaching out. We've shown we can stand alone if we must. Now it's time to learn to stand together." Her words resonated deeply, echoing the sentiment that had allowed humanity to triumph, the strength found in unity. The decision was made. Earth would accept the invitation, but cautiously. A delegation would be sent, led by Dr. Elena Reeves and Admiral Zoe Blackwood, with General Stryker coordinating from Earth. They would represent humanity's interests, learn what they could of this galactic concord, and determine if alliance was truly in Earth's best interests. As preparations for the mission began, humanity turned its gaze to the stars with a new perspective. The universe was vaster and more complex than they had ever imagined, filled with both terrible dangers and incredible wonders. But they faced this new frontier not with fear, but with determination and hope. In the shipyards orbiting Mars, a new vessel took shape, the EDS Prometheus, humanity's first true interstellar ship, incorporated all they had learned from the battle with the Void Collective. Its hull was laced with gravity-manipulating tech, allowing it to create localized space-time distortions for both defense and faster-than-light travel. Weapons systems based on the Prometheus array could generate miniature singularities, while shields could warp incoming attacks into pocket dimensions. As the ship neared completion, Alina found herself standing in its observation deck, looking out at the red planet below and the star-filled sky beyond. Admiral Blackwood joined her, the two women contemplating the journey ahead. "Are we ready for this?" Alina asked softly, "To take our place among the stars." Zoe's face was resolute as she replied, "Ready or not, it's where we need to be. The Void Collective is still out there, and there may be other threats we haven't even imagined yet. But there are also potential friends, civilizations we can learn from and grow with. We've proven what humanity can do when pushed to its limits. Now it's time to see what we can achieve when we reach for the stars by choice, not necessity." As they spoke, all across Earth and its colonies, humanity prepared for a new chapter in its history. In universities and research labs, new departments of xenobiology, alien linguistics, and extra-dimensional physics sprang up overnight. Military academies incorporated lessons learned from the Void Collective battle into their training, preparing a new generation of soldiers to defend humanity among the stars. And in towns and cities around the world, a new sense of purpose and unity took hold. The petty divisions of the past seemed insignificant in the face of the vast cosmic tapestry humanity now found itself a part of. Children looked to the night sky not with fear of invasion, but with dreams of exploration and discovery. On the day of the Prometheus's launch, billions watched as humanity's first ambassadors to the galactic community prepared to depart. The ship, a sleek fusion of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien tech, stood poised on the launch pad, a symbol of how far they had come and how far they had yet to go. In Prometheus Command, now expanded into a global network of research and defense facilities, General Stryker gave the final authorization. His gruff voice, broadcast to every corner of human-controlled space, carried the weight of history. "Prometheus, your go for launch. Carry with you the hopes and dreams of Earth. Show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. And remember, no matter how far you travel, you carry a piece of home with you. Godspeed." As the Prometheus lifted off, its revolutionary engines warping space-time around it, humanity collectively held its breath. This was more than the launch of a ship. It was the beginning of a new era, one in which humanity would take its place among the stars not as conquerors or victims, but as equals. The ship accelerated, pushing the boundaries of known physics. In a flash of light that outshone the sun, it engaged its FTL drive, vanishing from the solar system. In that moment, as humanity's emissaries set out to meet their galactic neighbors, a chapter closed and a new one began. The battle against the Void Collective had shown the universe what humans were capable of when pushed to their limits, when they unleashed their full power. Now they would show the cosmos what they could achieve through cooperation, through the relentless pursuit of knowledge, and through the indomitable spirit that had carried them from cave-dwelling primates to starfaring civilization. The Void Collective would return one day, of that there was little doubt. But when they did, they would find not just a single defiant planet, but a humanity spread across the stars, standing shoulder to shoulder with allies from across the galaxy.